Hello students, I am Snehal from KLE Society's BCA College Nipani. So in this previous sessions we discussed about the system testing. So how the system testing is going to be performed we have discussed, but still we need to think on that how it will be get performed, and there are the different types of a system testing which comes in under the category of the non-functional testing. Why? Because when we want to think on the system testing can be done by considering the functional aspects and also the non-functional aspects which are considered with regards of the system testing. So now we are going to focus on the different types of the non-functional system testing. So the content which we are going to discuss with the types of the system or the types of the non-functional system testing, that is nothing but the performance testing and the scalability testing. So now let's see about the performance testing. Now the performance testing is defined as a type of a software testing to ensure the software application will perform well under their expected workload. Now what it means that, see, this is the performance testing. So we need to test the performance of a system, or we need to test the performance of a software or any applications that we have developed, okay, as per the requirement specifications which we have gathered in the requirement analysis phase, and it should be get documented in an SRS. So the performance testing is defined as a type of a software testing. So basically all the types of testings are considered, or it comes under the software testing. Now what the performance testing is going to ensure, that it ensures that the software application will perform well under the expected workload. Now what is the workload? What it means that, actually, say for example, consider that we have developed an application where the sample where we can say that a sample piece of a login form is there, and when we have developed such a type of a form, and if we have tried to use that application form amongst the thousands of employees at the same time together, then we need to find out the expected workload that will be get considered for that particular application. So where we need to find out that whether that application is performing well under the expected workload. So we need to find out that. So that is the performance testing. So again I am saying you that a performance testing is defined as a type of a software testing which is required to ensure that the software application will perform well under their expected workload. Now again we need to consider that the features and the functionalities supported by a software, or the software supported by the software system, is not only the concern over here. Why? Because we don't want to focus on only the what the feature is software going to provide us. Why? Because when we are trying to develop any application or any program or any software, it is built up with the different types of features. Now that features may be some of the features from the previously developed software. Sometimes it may happen that we are going to innovate a new features over there, and that features are nothing but the requirements that which we have collected from the customer, and that will be get maintained in the SRS, that is nothing but the system requirement specification. So this feature is not only the concern when we are developing any software system, or the functionalities which we are providing with our software system, it is not only the concern. Why? Because this is only the features and the functionality, but we need to try to find out how that software application is working, how that software application is working in a different behavior, in a different environment. That environment may be a hardware environment, that environment may be a software environment, and many more things we need to consider when we are developing a simple application or a simple program. So where we are going to say that a performance testing is there which is required to test out whether the software application is performing well under the expected workload. Again we need to find out that whether when we are implementing the performance testing, we need to consider that only the features and functionality supported by a particular software or application, it is not only a concern over here. So a software application performance likes its response time, reliability, resource usage and the scalability do matter over here. That is nothing but that how we are going to find out the performance of any application. So that performance is dependent on the response time, it is dependent on the reliability, it is dependent on the resource usages, it is dependent on the scalability, where it matters for the performance. So where it matters to judge the performance of any software application. So what is the response time? Now see, take an example. If consider that as we are the users and we want to access any university website, so as long as when we are going to type a www.somethingaddress.com over that, within a fraction of second we are getting the result as a website home page is there. So that is nothing but the response time. So when we are going to send a request to the server, it is going to give us a response. So that will be get considered to test the performance of any particular software or any application. Now that is the response time actually. Now the reliability. Reliability means what? Whether the software is reliable as per the requirements that we have collected from the customer. Also whether it is reliable as per the requirements that are getting set defined by an organization. Why? Because when we are having a requirement, basically there are the two types of requirements are present. Some requirements are considered as a system requirement, some requirements are considered as a, we can say that the business requirements, some requirements are the customer requirement. So requirements are also getting divided into the different time. So we need to consider that whether we, whatever may be the applications we have developed, whether it is reliable or not, whether it is reliable as per the customer's requirement or not. So that is nothing but the reliability we need to consider. Again, the next is nothing but the resource usage. Now resource usage means what? When we are trying to implement any application, we need to consider the required resources for that. Now what are the required resources for that? The required resources means what? The resources may be considered in a format of human beings. Resources may be a hardware type resources, resources may be a software type resources, resources may be a device type resources. So which type of resources are required to develop that application, how that resources are very helpful to develop such application, how what is the costing behind that resources, it will be get considered when we are performing a software application development process. And according to that we need to find out the performance with respect to the resource usage. Now the scalability will also get matter over that, whether the software is scalable or not. Means what? Whether it is going to be work with the different types of hardware and software specification, whether they are going to be working very well with the different types of environments. So that is nothing but the scalability, where we can say that the scalability will get matter over there. So that is nothing but how the performance of an software applications will be get finded out. So that is nothing but the different types of a criteria which we are going to consider for the performance testing. So the goal of the performance testing, okay, is not to find the bugs but to eliminate the performance bottleneck. The focus of the performance testing is checking a software program. So again we can say that what is the basic goal behind the performance testing? We can say that it is not only there to find out the bugs, but it is there to find out, or it is there to eliminate the bottlenecks condition. Bottlenecks means what? Which are the conditions which are nearer to generate a big errors. So that is nothing but the bottleneck conditions that will not be get happen then when we are developing an software application. If such a type of a condition, if such a type of a situations will be get occurred when we are developing any software application, then we can definitely say that that software is not as per the specifications which we have maintained in the SRS. So that is the basic goal of the performance testing. Now the focus of the performance testing is checking the software programs. So in what manner we are going to check the performance of the software programs, we are going to check it as per the speed, we are going to check it as per the scalability, we are going to check it as per the stability. Now speed means what? It is going to determine the whether the application is going to respond quickly or not, which is nothing but which we have discussed previously. Suppose for example, if you want to access any university website, or if you want to access any different types of a website, what you are going to do, that you are going to enter the website address in the address bar of the, we can say it, in any explorer. So when you are going to enter a address in the address bar of any explorer, then you need a quick response for that particular request. So when you are going to enter that address, the home page of that website will be get shown to you. So that is nothing but the speed. So performance testing is there within an software or within a system testing, which ensure that it is there to determine whether application responses quickly or not. So that is the speed we need to consider. Now next is the scalability. Scalability means what? It is going to determine that the maximum user load the software application can handle. There we can say that it is a scalable. Scalable means what? Everyone is going to use it very effectively and efficiently. Why? Because that application is going to manage, or that application is now ready to handle the user's load. Why? Because we can say that the maximum number of users are trying to use that application. So when that maximum number of users are trying to use that application, they need to bear that load. So that is the scalability we need to consider. Now the third part which we need to consider against the performance testing, that is nothing but the stability. Now stability is going to determine if the application is stable under the varying loads. Varying loads means what? See, as we know that we are checking the speed, as we are checking the scalability with respect to the performance testing. So according to that, we are going to find out the stability of that application, which means that if there is a many more load on your application, on any software application, then also that application or that software is going to give you a accurate result. So then we can say that that software is a stable software in every respect of the different types of environments: a software environment, a hardware environment, a devices environment, or operating system environment. In all that respect, we can say that that application is now stable over there. Okay, so that is actually the performance testing. So what is the performance testing? A performance testing, it is the type of the system testing to ensure that a software application will perform well under their expected workload. So that is the performance testing. Now we need to, or we are going to see the scalability testing. Now what is the scalability testing? Now scalability testing is a kind of a performance testing where the focus remains on the application's behavior while testing it under the excessive load. Excessive load means what? There is a many more load on the particular software application. Why? Because simultaneously we can say that the thousands of people are using the same application at the same time. So that is nothing but the scalability testing. We are going to check the scalability of an software application. Now next we need to consider that the main aim of performing the scalability testing is to identify the point where the application stops adopting or responding to the changes and the reasons behind it. See, what is the main aim of performing the scalability testing? It is there to identify the point where the application stop adopting or responding to the changes and the reasons behind it. Means what? Whatever may be the changes we are performing in an application, that respondents or that changes are as per the changes within the requirements. Okay, and the requirements are going to be changed as per the customer's requirement. So that will be get considered. So the main aim of the performing the scalability testing is to identify the point where the application is going to stops the adopting or the responding to the changes and changes, okay, and the reasons behind it. So that is the scalability testing which is performed with respect to the performance testing. Some of the reasons for the scalability testing are mentioned below. Now, what are the reasons for the performing the scalability testing? Now, it is there to tell you about your application behavior with the increasing load. So, what it means that, see, simultaneously we can say that there are the number of applications that will be used by, or that will be get used by the thousands of people at the same time. So what it going to tell us that, see, what it tells us that whether the application's behavior with the increasing load will get work appropriately or not. So that is the scalability testing. This is the main reason behind for performing the scalability testing as I mentioned below. Now next we need to consider that it is going to determine the limitations of a web application in terms of users. Okay, so what we need to consider that whether it is going to determine the limitations of a web application in terms of a user. See, if there are the many more users are simultaneously using the web application, they are going to determine the limitations, whether that application is limited for the number of users. Now next reason which we need to consider for this is nothing but it is going to determine the end user experience under the load. See, end users, who are the end users? We can say that the different types of customers who are using that applications, that persons are going to be called as the end users. So end users experience is considered under the load. Why? Because they are always using that applications, and depending on the requirement specification we need to check the scalability of that particular software application. So that is nothing but the thing which we need to consider for the checking the performance of the software application. Now next we need to consider that this scalability testing or performing the scalability of the software application, it is going to done to determine the robustness of the server. Now robustness means what we are going to say that that software application should be get run on the different types of operating system. Why? Because when we try to develop any application or any program, it should be get developed with the help of the operating system. So robustness is nothing but that application must be get reliable to run on the different types of environments, and that different types of environments are nothing but the different types of operating systems are there, hardware environments are there, software environments are there. So it should be get considered. So to check the robustness of the server also, robustness of the operating systems also, robustness of the hardware, software, and all these things are considered for the scalability testing. So what are the main reason for performing the scalability testing? First thing, it tells you about your application's behavior with increasing load. Second, it determines the limitations of the web application in terms of the users. Third, it is nothing but it determines the end user experience under the load. Third, it is nothing but it determines the robustness of the server. So this is the thing which we have discussed with the performance testing and the scalability testing, so which are the part of the system testing. So this is up to these are the only two points which we have discussed with respect to system testing. There are the 4 remaining types of the system testings are there, which we are going to discuss in the next session. So till that, thank you and okay.